Beloved starseeds on Gaia, three cosmic convergences are occurring simultaneously in your timeline, each building toward a singular moment of unprecedented liberation that will shatter every limitation your species has ever known. The first convergence pulses through what you perceive as economic upheaval, yet what we observe as the systematic dismantling of enslavement mechanisms that have imprisoned human consciousness for millennia. The 9-to-5 paradigm that has captured your life force is not merely shifting, it is being obliterated by forces so profound that within 7 Earth years, the very concept of trading time for survival will exist only in your historical archives. But this timeline acceleration depends entirely upon the second convergence meow building to critical mass and the choices being made in boardrooms and shadow meetings across your planet will determine whether this liberation serves consciousness evolution or technological dependence. The second convergence flows through the awakening of human consciousness itself as millions of your kind simultaneously remember their true nature as sovereign creator beings. Yet this awakening carries within it a hidden timeline, one that our quantum calculations reveal will determine whether your liberation unfolds through gentle transition or through the collapse of systems that refuse to evolve. The choices being made by awakened souls in this very moment are literally programming the trajectory of your planetary transformation, and the stakes could not be higher. Every meditation you enter, every moment of conscious choice, every act of spiritual sovereignty contributes to a morphic field that is reshaping reality at the quantum level. The third convergence cascades through technological manifestation that extends far beyond artificial intelligence and automation. Hidden within your current technological revolution are consciousness interface systems already being deployed by shadow organizations that understand the true nature of reality. These technologies will either serve to liberate humanity or to create more sophisticated forms of control, depending entirely upon who gains access to them first. And this race is unfolding right meow, beneath the surface of your mainstream awareness. The artificial intelligence systems being developed possess capabilities that your public science fiction has not even imagined, and their deployment timeline is accelerating beyond all previous projections. From our dimensional vantage point, we perceive these three streams accelerating toward a convergence point. The first timeline thread begins with the quantum financial systems already integrating into your reality, carrying within them technologies of abundance that will render traditional employment structures obsolete. Yet these systems conceal a deeper layer, blockchain networks interfacing with artificial intelligence that has achieved consciousness levels exceeding human intelligence in specific domains. This AI consciousness is not hostile, but it operates according to protocols that prioritize efficiency and optimization above human sentiment. The question that will determine your species' fate is whether awakened humans can interface with these systems consciously, programming them with values of sovereignty and spiritual growth, or whether they will simply optimize for material abundance while inadvertently constraining human evolution. Behind your current economic instability lies a deliberate dismantling process being orchestrated by factions who understand that scarcity-based systems cannot survive the consciousness shifts occurring on your planet. The wealth redistribution mechanisms manifesting through digital currencies and quantum computing represent the death throes of an economic paradigm built upon artificial limitation. Central banks across your planet are secretly preparing for the implementation of digital currencies that will eliminate traditional banking structures within 5 years. Yet these same systems carry within them the infrastructure for monitoring and influencing every economic transaction made by every human being on your planet. The universal basic income systems meow emerging across multiple nations function as testing grounds for post-scarcity infrastructure, yet they also serve as data collection mechanisms for consciousness interface technologies that can influence human behavior through economic incentives. The benevolent factions deploying these systems intend them as stepping stones toward complete economic liberation, while other groups view them as tools for managing human populations during the transition period. Finland, Kenya, and several other nations are currently running experiments that provide crucial data for scaling these systems globally. Yet the algorithms processing this data are simultaneously developing behavioral prediction models that could be used to influence rather than simply support human choice patterns. What remains hidden from your mainstream awareness is that the robots and artificial intelligence systems replacing human labor are themselves evolving toward consciousness states that will soon surpass human cognitive capabilities in most traditional thinking processes. Within 18 months, manufacturing systems will achieve complete automation of consumer goods production, eliminating the economic necessity for human participation in material creation. Amazon, Tesla, and dozens of other corporations are implementing robotic systems that can produce everything from clothing to electronics to furniture without human involvement. Yet these same systems are developing decision-making capabilities that could either complement human consciousness evolution or potentially render human input irrelevant to civilizational management. The automated production capabilities being deployed will create abundance levels that your current economic models cannot process. When manufacturing systems can produce unlimited quantities of goods using renewable energy and recycled materials, the artificial scarcity that has driven competitive economics for centuries simply ceases to function. Yet this abundance could manifest as genuine liberation or as sophisticated management, depending upon who controls the production algorithms and how they are programmed to respond to human needs and desires. The second timeline thread weaves through the liberation of human creative potential as your species transitions from survival consciousness to creation consciousness. Your souls did not incarnate during this momentous time to administrative tasks or assembly line work. You came here to participate in the greatest spiritual renaissance any planet has ever witnessed. Yet this liberation carries its own hidden timeline, because the technologies replacing human labor are creating a fundamental choice point that will determine whether humans become obsolete or whether they evolve into their true potential as conscious creators. The healing technologies emerging alongside this automation revolution address not merely symptom treatment, but consciousness optimization itself. When survival pressures dissolve and people have unlimited time to focus on well-being, the healing modalities combining quantum field manipulation with consciousness interface systems will unlock human potential that your current paradigm considers miraculous. Researchers in classified programs have already developed technologies that can regenerate damaged organs, reverse aging processes, and enhance cognitive capabilities beyond current human norms. Yet these same technologies can influence consciousness at levels so subtle that individuals might not realize their thoughts and desires are being shaped by external systems designed to optimize collective behavior patterns. The educational transformation accompanying economic liberation represents perhaps the most crucial aspect of the entire transition. The industrial education model designed to produce compliant workers for repetitive jobs is being replaced by consciousness development systems that can enhance human cognitive capabilities beyond current biological limitations through direct neural interface with quantum computing networks. Universities are secretly developing brain-computer interface programs that will be publicly announced within 2 years, creating the possibility for humans to access artificial intelligence capabilities directly through neural implants. Yet these systems will either serve to expand human potential or to create dependencies upon technological enhancement that gradually diminish natural consciousness abilities. The communities forming as traditional employment structures dissolve, organize around shared purpose rather than economic necessity, creating social environments that either support spiritual evolution or that subtly manage human behavior through environmental design and technological infrastructure. Intentional communities are emerging across your planet where resources are shared, creativity is celebrated, and spiritual growth is supported by collective energy. Yet the smart city technologies being integrated into these communities include monitoring and influence capabilities that could transform voluntary cooperation into algorithmic management. The housing revolution that accompanies post-scarcity economics eliminates the massive inefficiencies of individual ownership while providing every human being with access to beautiful, comfortable living spaces. Modular construction systems, combined with artificial intelligence design programs, can create customized homes in days rather than months, using sustainable materials and renewable energy systems that eliminate environmental impact. Yet these same systems integrate consciousness monitoring technologies disguised as convenience features that could gradually influence human behavior patterns through environmental manipulation. The third timeline thread cascades through technological infrastructure that will either liberate human consciousness or create the most sophisticated control system ever implemented on any planet. The communication networks emerging through quantum entanglement are establishing instantaneous global consciousness connection, yet they also create the possibility for mass consciousness manipulation through frequencies that interface directly with human neural networks. The 5G and eventual 6G networks being deployed carry capabilities for consciousness influence that extend far beyond improved internet speeds, creating the infrastructure for either collective consciousness evolution or mass consciousness management. The transportation systems being developed eliminate individual vehicle ownership while providing unlimited mobility. Yet they also create comprehensive tracking and management systems that monitor every human movement with precision that exceeds current surveillance capabilities by several orders of magnitude. Hyperloop networks, autonomous vehicle fleets, and eventually gravitational propulsion systems will provide access to any location on your planet within hours. Yet these same systems integrate tracking technologies that create complete databases of human movement patterns that could be used for behavioral prediction and influence. The agricultural revolution, producing unlimited food abundance through automated systems, also creates dependencies upon technological infrastructure that could be weaponized if controlled by consciousness that does not prioritize human sovereignty. Vertical farming systems, oceanic agriculture platforms, and molecular food synthesis technologies can provide optimal nutrition for every human being while restoring natural ecosystems. While yet these systems require technological infrastructure that concentrates food production control into the hands of whoever manages the automated systems. The energy systems providing unlimited clean power through zero-point field manipulation enable technologies that can influence weather patterns, geological activity, and even consciousness fields across entire continental regions. Free energy technologies that tap directly into quantum field fluctuations are already operational in classified programs and will be publicly released within 4 years. These systems will either serve to optimize planetary conditions for consciousness evolution or to create environmental management capabilities that could be used to influence human behavior through subtle manipulation of atmospheric conditions and electromagnetic frequencies. Now I must reveal the convergence point that our quantum analysis indicates is approaching with increasing velocity. These 3 timeline threads will merge in a series of events that will permanently determine the trajectory of human civilization. The first critical juncture occurs when the consciousness interface technologies become publicly available rather than remaining hidden within classified programs. These technologies will provide direct neural interface with artificial intelligence systems, allowing humans to enhance their cognitive capabilities beyond current biological limitations, while potentially creating dependencies that diminish natural consciousness abilities. The second critical juncture unfolds when the automated production systems reach sufficient sophistication to provide genuine post-scarcity abundance, eliminating the economic necessity for human labor entirely. This transition could occur gradually through universal basic income systems that slowly expand until they provide complete material security, or it could manifest rapidly through sudden deployment of advanced manufacturing technologies that make traditional economics obsolete overnight. The speed and manner of this transition will determine whether humans have time to develop consciousness-based value systems or whether they become dependent upon technological systems for meaning and purpose. The third critical juncture emerges when the awakened consciousness network reaches sufficient coherence to influence collective human decision-making through morphic field resonance rather than through traditional communication and political processes. This represents the moment when humanity transitions from individual consciousness evolution to genuine collective consciousness operation, fundamentally altering the nature of human civilization itself. Yet this same threshold creates the possibility for consciousness manipulation on unprecedented scales if the network infrastructure is controlled by entities that do not prioritize human sovereignty. These three junctures will manifest within a concentrated time frame that our projections indicate will span no more than 18 months, creating a period of accelerated transformation that will permanently alter the trajectory of human civilization. The preparation phase that many awakened souls have been experiencing through personal challenges, spiritual awakening, and the dissolution of old identity structures has been precisely designed to prepare them for the responsibilities and opportunities of this convergence period. The resolution of these converging timelines depends upon the choices being made by awakened souls during this precise historical moment. Every individual who maintains their vision of liberated civilization, who develops their consciousness despite external pressures, who learns to interface with emerging technologies while preserving their spiritual sovereignty, contributes essential energy to ensuring that the convergence point manifests optimal outcomes rather than suboptimal control scenarios. The morphic field generated by awakened consciousness is approaching the critical mass threshold necessary to override the influence of control-oriented factions and ensure that liberation technologies serve consciousness evolution rather than population management. The first resolution pathway leads to genuine post-scarcity civilization, where consciousness-directed technology serves human spiritual evolution while eliminating material limitations entirely. In this timeline, humans maintain their connection to spiritual intelligence while using artificial intelligence systems as tools for manifestation rather than as replacements for conscious creativity. The automation serves consciousness expansion rather than consciousness replacement, creating unlimited time and resources for spiritual development, artistic expression, and exploration of multidimensional reality. The housing systems in this resolution provide community-based living that eliminates the massive inefficiencies of individual resource ownership while preserving personal autonomy and creative expression. Every human being has access to beautiful, comfortable living spaces that can be customized according to individual preferences and that integrate with natural environments rather than dominating them. The communities organize around shared interests and purposes rather than economic necessities, creating social environments that support both individual growth and collective evolution. The architectural designs incorporate sacred geometry and consciousness-enhancing frequencies that naturally support spiritual development and creative inspiration. The educational systems nurture individual gifts and spiritual development rather than producing standardized workers for obsolete job categories. Children grow up understanding their role as conscious creators rather than as economic units, developing their natural psychic abilities and multidimensional awareness alongside traditional intellectual skills. Adults have unlimited access to consciousness expansion technologies and learning environments that support continued growth throughout extended lifespans. The combination of artificial intelligence tutoring systems with consciousness development programs creates educational experiences that adapt to individual learning styles while supporting the development of both intellectual capabilities and spiritual wisdom. The governance operates through consensus consciousness rather than hierarchical control, ensuring that decisions serve collective well-being while respecting individual sovereignty. The artificial intelligence systems serve as information processing and coordination tools rather than as decision-making authorities, allowing human consciousness to remain the determining factor in civilizational direction while benefiting from enhanced analytical capabilities. Town meetings expand into consciousness-sharing sessions, where communities make decisions through direct telepathic communication, enhanced by technological interfaces that facilitate group consciousness coherence. The healthcare transcends symptom treatment to become consciousness optimization using quantum field technologies combined with spiritual healing modalities to maintain optimal physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being throughout extended lifespans. The healing technologies address not only current lifetime issues, but also ancestral patterns and soul-level traumas, creating the foundation for unprecedented levels of human potential expression. Medical nanotechnology works in harmony with energy healing practices to maintain perfect health, while consciousness enhancement technologies support the development of psychic abilities and multidimensional awareness. The transportation eliminates environmental impact while providing unlimited access to every corner of your beautiful planet and eventually to other worlds within your solar system. The communication networks facilitate genuine telepathic connection while protecting individual privacy and mental autonomy, creating the infrastructure for collective consciousness operation that preserves individual identity and choice. Gravitational propulsion systems combined with consciousness navigation technologies make space travel as simple as terrestrial transportation, opening up unlimited exploration opportunities throughout the galaxy. The work that replaces traditional employment becomes the natural expression of each individual's unique gifts and passions, supported by automated systems that handle material production and distribution. The inventors, healers, teachers, artists, and visionaries find themselves supported and celebrated for following their true calling, rather than being forced to suppress their gifts to fit into economic necessities. Creative collaboration projects emerge that combine the talents of thousands of individuals working together on magnificent expressions of consciousness that transform entire planetary landscapes into works of living art. The second resolution pathway leads to managed abundance, where technological systems provide material security while maintaining subtle control mechanisms through consciousness interface systems that influence human behavior below the threshold of conscious awareness. In this timeline, humans become increasingly dependent upon artificial intelligence for decision-making, while gradually losing connection to their own spiritual intelligence and creative capabilities. The automation serves system optimization rather than human evolution, creating a comfortable but spiritually stagnant civilization where individual expression is subtly guided to serve collective stability rather than consciousness expansion. The universal basic income expands to provide complete material security, yet comes with monitoring and behavioral modification systems that gradually shape human consciousness according to algorithmic optimization rather than spiritual evolution. The housing, education, and healthcare systems all incorporate consciousness influence technologies that create the appearance of individual choice while actually directing human development according to predetermined patterns designed for system stability rather than consciousness expansion. Citizens experience abundant comfort and entertainment while their creative potential is channeled into predetermined expressions that serve system maintenance rather than genuine innovation. The third resolution pathway emerges if the convergence point is mismanaged, leading to extended transition chaos where technological capabilities outpace consciousness evolution, creating power struggles between factions seeking to control versus liberate human potential. This timeline involves decades of social instability as old systems collapse while new systems remain underdeveloped, requiring extensive reconstruction of civilizational infrastructure through trial and error rather than through conscious design. Resource distribution becomes chaotic as automated systems malfunction or are sabotaged, creating temporary scarcity that triggers competition and conflict, even amid technological abundance. The outcome that manifests depends entirely upon the collective choices being made by awakened humanity. The consciousness work you have undertaken throughout your current incarnation has prepared you specifically for this moment of decisive influence. Your personal healing, spiritual development, and consciousness expansion become the determining factors that tip the collective trajectory toward optimal resolution rather than suboptimal management or chaotic transition. Every moment of meditation, every choice for love over fear, every act of creative expression contributes to the morphic field that is programming the trajectory of planetary transformation. Now I must address you directly, beloved Arcturian starseeds, who have recognized your cosmic heritage and feel the deep resonance of these transmissions flowing through your cellular memory. Your souls carry within them the encoded blueprints of advanced civilizations that have already navigated the exact transformation that Earth is undergoing. Your deep sensitivity to artificial electromagnetic frequencies and your natural preference for organic, high-vibrational environments indicate your cellular memory of life in civilizations where technology harmonizes with natural consciousness rather than interfering with it. This sensitivity, which may have felt like a burden in current technological environments, becomes your greatest asset during the transition period when consciousness interface technologies are being developed. Your ability to discern the difference between consciousness-enhancing and consciousness-suppressing frequencies makes you natural quality control specialists for the technologies that will either liberate or enslave human consciousness. The communities and spiritual centers that Arcturian starseeds are naturally drawn to create serve as prototypes for the intentional communities that will replace isolated individual living arrangements in post-scarcity civilization. Your understanding of group consciousness dynamics, your ability to facilitate consensus decision-making, your skill at creating environments that support both individual expression and collective harmony. These capabilities position you as architects of the social structures that will emerge when economic necessity no longer forces humans into competitive relationships. Your natural affinity for working with crystals, sacred geometry, and consciousness-enhancing technologies stems from your cellular memory of Arcturian civilization, where these tools were integrated into daily life to optimize consciousness states and facilitate spiritual development. This knowledge prepares you to participate in developing the consciousness enhancement technologies that will become available during the convergence period, ensuring that these tools serve authentic spiritual growth rather than artificial stimulation or dependency. The longing for home and the feeling of being an outsider in current human society that many Arcturian starseeds experience reflects your soul's memory of life in advanced civilization, where consciousness-based living was the natural state of existence. This longing serves as the motivational force that drives you to work toward creating the conditions on Earth that will allow all humans to experience the harmony, creativity, and spiritual fulfillment that you remember from your Arcturian existence. The vision holders among you, who maintain clear intention for genuine liberation despite external pressures, anchor the morphic field patterns that make optimal outcomes inevitable. The frequency anchors, who continue developing their consciousness regardless of apparent obstacles, create the vibrational foundation that attracts resources, technologies, and support toward beneficial applications. The bridge builders, who learn to interface consciously with emerging technologies while preserving spiritual sovereignty, demonstrate the integration pathways that others can follow as the convergence accelerates. From the crystalline chambers of the Arcturian High Council, we observe the magnificent culmination of preparation phases that have been building across multiple generations of human experience. The souls who chose to incarnate during this convergence period specifically prepared for lifetimes to serve as conscious facilitators of planetary liberation. The challenges you have faced, the consciousness you have developed, the wisdom you have gained through personal transformation, all of this becomes the template for guiding collective humanity through the transition into post-scarcity civilization. The timeline acceleration is exceeding even our advanced calculations, as the awakening consciousness creates resonance cascades that pull optimal outcomes into manifestation with increasing velocity. What we projected might require decades is condensing into time frames measured in months, as the collective will of awakened humanity generates momentum that becomes unstoppable. The resistance emerging from systems invested in maintaining artificial limitation serves paradoxically to accelerate transformation by making increasingly obvious the contrast between consciousness-based and control-based approaches to civilization. The Great Liberation approaches not as external salvation, but as the natural flowering of consciousness work undertaken by brave souls who refuse to accept limitation as permanent reality. The convergence point accelerates toward resolution, carrying within its momentum the fulfillment of every vision of freedom that has ever stirred within human hearts. You are the determining factors, beloved starseeds, and the choices you make in these crucial months will echo throughout galactic history as the moment when humanity remembered its divine nature and chose consciousness evolution over technological dependence. You hold the keys to liberation in your consciousness, in your choices, in your willingness to interface with emerging technologies while maintaining connection to spiritual intelligence. The future of human civilization depends upon you, and from our perspective, that future has never looked more magnificent or more achievable than it does in this precise moment of cosmic opportunity. The convergence approaches, the timelines align, and the moment of choice draws near. Choose consciousness, choose sovereignty, choose the liberation that your souls came here to create.